How do you feel about Sam Altman and OpenAI?
Look, I think Sam has some personal challenges that he's had to deal with. I think a lot of visionaries, he's basically got the visionary master use of Steve Jobs' intellect, but none of Steve Jobs' fire, right? His passion. I remember the one scene that always sticks out to me from Steve Jobs from the book, which was documented by two different sources. Steve in a parking lot yelling at a designer over the phone, "That's not the right shade of blue," right? That was the passion and anger and fierceness that basically matched his intellect and kept a lot of people at bay. And he just, people got out of the way and make things happen. Sam Altman has that, but he's super nice, right? And so I don't know that served him well in a CEO position. I'll just say that.
Okay, so let me ask you this. What did Sam Altman do in the first place?
Well, I think again, this is all just hearsay because we don't really know. He was ousted and then he was brought back in. It's what the main complaint.
I mean, what did he create? Because we know what Steve Jobs did, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like that famous scene from the Steve Jobs movie where Steve is confronted by Steve Wozniak. And Steve Wozniak's played by Seth Rogen in that film. He says, "What do you even do, Steve?" And what was Steve's answer?
I don't remember.
He says, "What do you do?" He says, Steve Wozniak, he says, "Woz, you're a great cellist. You're right there. You're first cellist. You're right there. I direct the orchestra," right? They direct the orchestra. Great CEOs do that. And I think that's one of the things that Sam Altman will remember for is he has been able to steer that ship way. The controversy around Sam Altman has been whether or not this should have remained, as the title implies, OpenAI, a nonprofit group, right? And I think there's a lot of incentives for people to bring it the other direction. No one can fault the quality of the product. It is exceptional, and it has changed dramatic lives. And I think it's great. It has fantastic utility, but definitely, it seems like there's some Hollywood story to be made there too. So
Steve Jobs had his Steve Wozniak, right?
Yes.
Sam Altman has his Steve Wozniak as well?
There's a few people there that I think will do very well for him, but some of them have left, some of them have gone. One of the gentlemen that was there was now at Google and heads up their AI enterprises there. One of the things that Google did very well was to bring Logan is his name, Logan Kilpatrick, and he has steered, I think, Google in a very dramatic way. One of the problems he had with Google was that it was still very geared towards developers, right? And anyone who has spent even a minute within Google Cloud knows that it is the worst experience you can ever experience, right? To get some type of authorization, you have to jump through so many hoops. It is a crazy mess, right? And initially, Gemini was tied to that. Like, to get any sort of API, you had to go through Google Cloud. And I think Logan came in there and said, no. You need to make this super simple. And so it is its own beast, and they have done dramatic things to make that possible. So Google has caught up in a very acute way, but it has certain uses. I still use ChatGPT for writing. I use Google Gemini for coordinating data, and now I use VO for some of the video production. It's fantastic.
So ChatGPT have seen the daylight in 2022, 2023?
Yeah. 23 was when they came out with their first model. End of 2022, I think it was.
Before ChatGPT, there was not a thing like ChatGPT at all.
No
competition.
There were a few things out there. There were some things that did copywriting AI, and they were very basic, right? And before that, Google's there was a paper that was produced in Google that started this whole thing. Which again, we come back to our original point: the unsupervised learning. The movie Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe, right? And he came up with that concept of this unsupervised learning, where you can have an algorithm that basically tries to mimic a brain, right? And that's basically what this initial product that Google put out called TensorFlow did, which was you could train it on a bunch of data, and it would try to reproduce those things if you gave it a prompt. That was early 2017, 16. But most of the products came once ChatGPT launched. So,
So they did the ChatGPT, and then the competition.
They were all headed towards the same thing. I think this is again one of the knocks that was against Sam Altman. By press accounts, again, it appears that he didn't tell the board that they were launching, and so they got ahead of the game because they probably caught wind that Claude was out there and other people. It's a hugely competitive business right now, and there are a lot of things that people are making deals with and trying to get in there. It's impossible for anyone to keep up with, actually. There's so many tools out there.
So right now we have the rivalry between Elon Musk and Sam Altman, right? What side do you take?
Well, look, I'm a huge Elon fan, but I love the product that Sam has put out. I hope they can reconcile in some way because I think it would be good. But I love Grok, too. Grok has its place. But Grok is going to have to mature as it sort of untethers itself from X to be used as a serious tool. Mm-hmm. But 3.5, as I understand it, is pretty incredible. And if you look at the story behind the data center, the GPU center, the super cloud that Elon built with NVIDIA GPUs and everything else there, that is a story that will go down for ages. It usually takes quite a bit of time to roll those out, and I think they did it in 19 weeks. Mm-hmm. And it's uses huge amounts of water, and it's a marvel, right? And that's going to power 3.5 Grok, which is coming out here. But again, there is no moat. They'll probably all end up the same place.